Good morning and welcome to Rising. That's our show and we've got a great one for you today. It is Monday morning, lots of news and politics to get into. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning. You never know what's going to happen in a weekend. Like everything can happen or nothing. We can have a quiet, calm weekend. I guess this one was like in between. There was news.
A quiet, calm weekend would be nice on occasion.
Every once in a while. Well, today on Rising, I'll be talking about the cost of renovating the plane Qatar donated to the Pentagon. You remember that one?
We'll also talk about Congressman Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna discussing whether Ghislaine Maxwell should be pardoned in exchange for testimony on Epstein.
And a Fox News host has a warning for her colleagues that are praising President Trump's attacks on The View. But first, Robbie, what is on your radar today?
Well, CIA Director John Ratcliffe is stepping into the fray, backing up claims by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard that Russiagate's origins can now be tied directly to a coterie of intelligence officials and also former President Barack Obama, who allegedly directed these officials, James Comey, John Brennan, and James Clapper, to reach stronger conclusions about Russia's impact on the election, even though they knew there was no hacking. Now, Ratcliffe says that Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was also involved. Let's watch his interview on Fox News.
Declassification and sent that to the Department of Justice that will come out in the John Durham report classified annex. And what that intelligence shows, Maria, is that part of this was a Hillary Clinton plan, but part of it was an FBI plan to be an accelerant to that fake Steele dossier, to those fake Russia collusion claims by pouring oil on the fire, by amplifying the lie and burying the truth of what Hillary Clinton was up to.
Later in that interview, Ratcliffe said he didn't think the statute of limitations would apply here, but he would leave it to Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Justice Department to make a final determination about that. Now, look, to be clear, the report on Hillary Clinton's involvement still forthcoming. What you saw there was a teaser trailer of sorts. This all comes amidst a major push by Gabbard and the Trump administration to reopen the issue of Russiagate's origins. We now know major claims in mainstream media about the extent of Russia's malfeasance and its connection to the Trump campaign were serially exaggerated at the behest of countless intelligence officials. Clinton, perhaps even more so than Obama, actually clearly bought into the idea that Russian activity cast doubt on Trump's win in 2016. She repeatedly called him an illegitimate president, Trump. In fact, even years later, in 2020, long after the ideological underpinnings of Russiagate had collapsed, Clinton was still making such claims. Here she was on a podcast in 2020.
One thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was and how he was involved in the seeking of foreign help and then the utilization of it and how Roger Stone was critical to that.
Now, Hillary Clinton is, of course, entitled to continue being a sore loser about 2016, to shake her fist and say she really won that election. It's not true, but she can say it. But the American people deserve to know if fake and discredited intelligence about Russia that smeared the Trump campaign was pushed by her own team. And if Ratcliffe has the goods, I, for one, look forward to seeing it. Hillary Clinton, the original election denier.
Fine, but the word coup, treason, like it's just so overly exaggerated. I think at the very
When they're
best,
talking about January 6th, you mean?
No, I'm talking about in January 6th terms. If you want to talk about somebody
That's
trying to
the coup and
overthrow
the
an
treason.
election,
Okay,
I think Trump describing this as a coup is really rich because a coup would be trying to stop somebody from actually taking office. Obama never did that to President Trump, and so trying to charge him with anything or like even using the words coup don't make sense, especially coming from the man who literally has been connected in many ways to
He said, I reject
January
your conclusion
6th.
that Russia didn't do this. Find me evidence that they did.
No, but this stems from the fact that he wasn't briefed, and that happens all the time. Like people aren't briefed, presidents aren't briefed every day. That can happen, and he's still looking for connection to make sure that Russia is not impacting our election. And no one ever said that they were on the voting boxes and messing up things. People said they were infiltrating the systems, trying to make American voters dissuade away from Hillary Clinton and also emphasize President Trump. And so you shouldn't want that. I don't understand why anybody would want that. So the most that can be charged here is that maybe Democrats were looking into this too much, but you prefer they didn't look into it at all? Is that the alternative? Maybe too much time was wasted. Should you go to jail for treason? Because literally, treason has to occur in wartime. That's the actual definition. It has to be a rebellion against the government. This is
I've
so
said
the
I don't
words
think it's
used.
treason. Treason is not a.
But this is coming from the top officials in Trump's presidency that Obama might be treasonous and this is a coup. And so part of this has to just be listen, again, divert your attention from Epstein. I have some really good red meat for you to look at. And I think this is just silly. Everyone knows this is not going anywhere. And for the same people that were critical about how much time Democrats spent pursuing President Trump in a variety of ways, you shouldn't then want to go back and repeat those tactics that angered your entire base. That's not really what you want to do, right?
But shouldn't Hillary Clinton receive just as much contempt for denying the outcome of an election as Donald Trump did? She continues to this day to maintain, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, that Russian involvement makes the 2016 outcome suspect, when we know that's not the case. We know, and they knew at the time, there was no hacking of the machine. So then later, after Obama said, well, that's not good enough, find something, then they had to suggest to the press that there was this widespread social media influence campaign, that then there was a fever pitch about that story in the mainstream media, all these intelligence officials behind closed doors are saying they can't believe what they're seeing about the level of influence on social media that was Russian-derived. Years later, we find out it was nothing. It didn't do anything. It was small. It was not a significant sum of money. It was not a significant number of accounts. They were not targeted at swing voters. Nothing of that size and scope, and yet she's still talking about it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So Hillary Clinton did concede, unlike President Trump. She did concede, and so that's a big step in saying I lost the election. So going around bringing up Russia and connecting is her prerogative, but again, bringing it up as a federal issue where Tulsi Gabbard is coming in the middle of press conferences and saying the entire Democratic Party needs to be reviewed, people need to go to jail, memes being posted on President Trump's page that have him chasing down President Obama like O.J. Simpson, all ridiculous, all overstated. Mind you, it did tickle me when I saw it, but it's ridiculous because this is about the fact that a woman says, okay, Russia, in connection to having some conversations about ruining my run for presidency, was meddling and hacking into my emails, right? Directly attacking the Democratic Party in this process, and also putting out content on social media through bots and real people, Russian people, that were trying to sway voters in the direction of President Trump. So whether you like it or not, our government and our American citizens shouldn't want that type of interference. It wasn't the interference that was so dramatically overstated, like somebody came in and actually made someone vote for someone else. But the fact that they were involved in this conversation, we should all have a raised eyebrow to that. And I don't think that was problematic to have somebody from the Democratic Party look into that, if not everyone.
I will say I'm getting sick of this. I'm getting sick of promises that, you won't believe what's in these files. He kind of did that here, saying, here's a name for you, Hillary Clinton, and wait till this report comes out. Just give me the report. I don't trust you people to, it's a little bit of the Epstein thing. You won't believe what we have to show you. Just show it to me and I'll decide if
everything's a bombshell.
My mind is blown. Right, if everything's a bombshell, then nothing is. It's the over-promising, the under-delivering. We're really sick of that. I think even diehard supporters of our president, Donald Trump, are getting sick of that. The partial MAGA revolt over the Epstein file stuff is a good example. So don't promise, don't tease, just reveal, release, declassify,
and even
decrypt,
this whole thing is coming
whatever.
from reviewing files from years ago at this point and saying breaking news, we combed through them and found something else. None of this is truly any breaking news, right? There was never an attempt to connect Russian people to actually sabotaging our ballot boxes. And so I don't think that any of the reports, even the bipartisan committees, came up with that conclusion. So we're going to be talking about this endlessly.
In the media, I think that was suggested. I was looking at an old New Yorker article that written by one of my least favorite reporters. I couldn't believe how bad it was in furthering that narrative. Next up on Rising, Congressman Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie weighing in on whether Ghislaine Maxwell should receive a pardon in exchange for testifying. We'll be right back.